I'm ready. Are you ready? We're ready.
Oh, I'm ready.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to another edition of SciVive Sunday. Glad to have you here. Super awesome guest, Balliet Bran, everyone. Yay!
No,
I'm
I
so glad to
appreciate
have
you
you here,
having me.
Bran. Yeah,
Yeah, no,
man. Like
thanks
you,
for doing this.
yeah, absolutely. You're one of the first people I remember, like when I just started, like you commented or liked or something, and I was just like, someone cares.
No,
So
it's really
sweet.
cool because I mean now it's to the point where because I spend a little bit less time on I mean actually a lot, but a lot less time on social media than I used to in the past. And so anyways, yeah, I'll find out through other hexagons or I'll just be on YouTube sometimes and you see a channel and it's like maybe in the recommendation and it's like, "Oh, I've never seen this channel before." And then lo and behold, you find out like, "Oh, they're talking about hex pulse and pulse x are kind of like the ecosystem for like 5 or 6 different videos, and it's really cool. We've got quite a lot of momentum built up.
Yeah, absolutely. It's really awesome too, as someone who is, I consider myself a newer streamer, like within the last year. Even like me seeing newer people come on in, and I'm just like, yes, this is great. Like we can take, and that's what the sentiment that I keep hearing over and over again in our community is, if you want to stream, come do it, because there's never enough. Like there's never going to
Yeah.
be enough of us doing this. And if you think about all the other influencers across the crypto sphere, and what they're doing and who they're bringing in, like we need more people and more personalities to just be, be
Mm.
who you are and be authentic and share what you love, and share what it is that, whatever it is you want to contribute to the community.
Mm.
So that, yeah,
What's
that's
true?
been great.
Well, because like even people, I was listening to Jim Rat Crypto. Just I mean, he ended his stream like maybe 3 minutes before you and I were in the green room.
Okay.
But so I was listening to Wendy's for Tendies, and you kind of mentioned, yeah, people that have input that can be beneficial because obviously he's not really like a streamer per se, even though he's streamed a lot. It's not really like something that he does on a consistent basis. But
Mhm.
damn, I need to have him on my stream and channel because maybe there's some things that I've talked about, at least with say like Pulse and PulseX and stuff like that like he has more experience with, and I'm kind of just pulling it from what I've seen and from what I think I know. But yeah, it's really cool to have people from all different kinds of crossroads and experiences, and then culminate that information.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, speaking of culminating information, the information that we are here to talk about today is SciVive. Woo! We're going to focus on chapter 2, and we decided to do that because of the fitness challenge that's starting today. Chapter 2 is titled Body, and there are a lot of different topics that it covers, actually. Let me pull this up real quick. So, where I want to start, the first like few chapters, there's like sleep, diet, personal hygiene, vision. I kind of just want to start with the exercise and fitness part of it. That has always been a challenge for me. I do not enjoy exercising. I do not like going to the gym. It is not fun for me. I don't like being inside in a stuffy gym. Like that's just not my style. Like I don't
Totally.
I had a boyfriend for a while who was a gym rat, and like that was his thing, and he went all the time, and I'd go every now and then with him. I got a membership, and we'd go together, but it just wasn't ever something that was like fun for me or like interesting at all.
Mm.
um what ended up happening, I guess a little bit of my fitness background, I guess. And let me see. I haven't done screen sharing and stuff yet, but I want to, just so y'all can see this picture. And I'm trying to hide the other person in it. Let me see if I can make this happen. I don't know if this is gonna work. Let's see. Okay. You might see like screenception, where you're seeing my screen and then the screen and then the screen. Hold on. Oh, share. Here we go. Share. Share screen. Okay. Can you guys see that? Kind of.
No,
Or maybe
you
a
might have to
window.
click
Wait,
the
wait, wait.
ad.
Aha. All right, so hopefully this person will he'll probably never watch this, but that was me. It was me and my ex-boyfriend. That was probably like 2010, 2011. And
Mhm.
I think at that point I was around 200 pounds, like probably just a little bit over, in fact. And people say, like people wouldn't have guessed that. I hear that I carry my weight well, kind of thing,
Sure, sure.
But I wasn't healthy for sure. I wasn't, not working out, not eating well. I was sedentary very often.
Mm.
Was working for a video game company at the time, and just sat all day and then came home and played games all night. So that was pretty much my life. And what ended up happening is I decided I had moved to Austin from California, and I had been living there for a few years, and I was really in love with the city and um the people, and just I was like, you know what, I really want to give back to this city, and I want to do something because I really love being here. I enjoy being a resident of this place. So I started looking into different volunteer opportunities, and this group popped up. It was called the Food is Free Project. And I was like, oh,
Mhm.
that's kind of cool. What's this all about? So it was just perfect timing. I got in on their like second workshop, and they basically went around their neighborhood and created front yard gardens for people for
Okay.
zero to like very low cost. We recycled pallets and election signs and used
Nice,
that to
nice.
create a
Cool.
garden bed.
That's awesome.
And yeah, and it was great. I learned a lot about food growing, and through that, someone else who worked at the same game company found out that I was interested in this kind of field, and he came to me and he was like, "Hey, I'm about to quit this job and go work on a farm in the middle of nowhere in Texas. Want to come with me?"
Nice,
And so
nice.
I was crazy enough at the time to say yes. So I ended up moving out to this farm in the middle of nowhere in Texas, and that changed my life. Completely
How many
changed my
years
life.
ago was this?
That was in 2012, I want to say. Like kind of
Okay,
shortly
yeah.
after that picture of me that you saw. It was
Sure,
not
sure.
long after that. So it's probably 2012, 2013 at the latest. But yeah,
Okay, sure.
just around then. And that, I mean, kind of I bring all this up to make the point that that transition took me 10 years. It did
Mm,
not happen in 90 days. It didn't happen overnight. I changed my habits, and
mm.
there were just all of these things. I changed my lifestyle. I didn't go on a diet. I didn't start working out.
Right, right,
It
right.
was just a lot of little things that added up to, who I am today and how I live my life and what I put in my body. That was a huge part of it,
Mm,
was learning what is in food,
yeah.
going from eating a lot of processed stuff and things that are packaged to, I will never forget the first time I pulled a beet, and they're called candy cane beets specifically, was this one that I had. I pulled this
Mm.
beet out of the ground, I washed it off, and I took a bite. And it was just miraculous. I was like, "Oh, food from the ground? What?" So that's part of why I'm involved with Hex Foodies. I love that group. I am super like gung ho about permaculture and growing your own food. Someone had just asked me recently, I think it was actually Thoth's Child, was wondering about how I'm doing that on the road because I live in a van now. And I'm not, unfortunately. It's not something that I am able to do, but I'm
Sure.
hopeful that wherever I land, like months at a time, that there's
Mhm.
maybe like a community garden or something that I can
Yeah, yep, yep.
contribute to in that way. So,
That's super
um,
cool.
yeah.
No, that's
So that's
yeah,
a little
that's
bit about
awesome that
me.
you mentioned. That's awesome that you mentioned the you know, kind of taking things from like a minimalist standpoint and growing the the vegetables and the fruits and things like that. Like my dad at our place, just a few cities away, we're getting back into like the like he has like a wheat grass juicer and wheat berries that we germinate, and so we're doing the same thing, kind of like a mini garden with like a little greenhouse that we have. And I think because one of those one of those shots of the wheatgrass I think is equivalent to like a pound of leafy greens or vegetables,
Mm-hmm.
things like this. And anyways, you're definitely right about the getting away from the processed junk. And obviously it's easier said than done and actually doing it, but then it really just takes, putting those steps of going forward.
Yeah. Yep. Absolutely. Yes, yes, indeed. So that's kind of what we're here to talk about is like doing those steps, like you signed up for the challenge, yeah? The crypto fitness
Yeah,
challenge?
yeah. Sorry, I had myself
All
on mute
good.
while I was getting the water.
No
Yeah.
worries.
So yeah, I signed up for the challenge, and then I'm really looking forward to that because like myself and my three older brothers were really close. But yeah, sometimes you're not always on the right path, and you're kind of veering off to the other side and stuff like this. And so, anyways, yeah, we're so myself and at least two of the brothers are signed up, and the other
Nice.
one I think is just spectating and might participate kind of in the background without the actual application and things. But it's so much easier to because I've done a lot of things, and it's so much easier to do something with a group of people or have some sort of motivation other than just internal, right? Especially if you've
Mhm.
been beaten down or haven't had enough success in the short term. Having people that can kind of push you and things like that to the next step can really make a difference.
Yeah, absolutely. And I feel like you get exponential like return on that because not only are you joining us virtually, but then you also have your brothers, that are going to be there, kind of physically with you to go through that. So that is awesome.
Mm.
I guess I'll say what's up to the chat real quick. We don't
Oh yeah.
I do interact with the chat here and there. So but yeah, if you don't get shouted out, don't cry. It's gonna be all right. I still love you. So Eric Hall, Bit Finesse, Jen Hex, we got Craig up in here, Mr. Prophet, Francis, I Love Jesus, Bearded Saint, Hopper Man 99, Morton Hake, Rags to Riches, what's up, Rags? Ninja Chopstick, good to see you. Hey, Ninja Chopstick, still would love to see about helping your daughter with getting hex minded. So if you're still looking to do that, let's definitely chat again and rehash that. We got Lindsay, the Hexakin. I see Riddick, Hex Siren. Yeah, Jackie. Good to see you, Jackie. Sandy Beach and Spike and Tin Top. What is up, friends? Thank you so much for joining us this morning. Yes, we are here to preach the good word of SciVive and talk about how we can SciVive. I mean, it's interesting that
Mm.
Richard mentioned he wants to change the name because I like it. I think that
Yeah,
it's
me too.
catchy.
Me
um,
too.
yeah, I like that it's SciVive. SciViving through science is the way
Hmm.
he
Hmm.
termed that, and
Yep,
I think it's great. But who knows? Maybe
I
we'll
do
come up
too.
with something. Um,
Yeah, I think it's just before its time, right? Because like
yeah, yeah, I
obviously,
agree.
I mean, Richard says like, oh, you got to give people like I think even in the book like the sex, drugs, and the rock and roll or the money, power, and respect and stuff like
Hmm.
that, before they can kind of realize, okay, maybe I should start focusing on some things that are more bigger picture and things like that. But yeah, I don't think the name is necessarily bad. I mean, heck, I was on just commenting in the chat one time under the SciVive channel, and this guy's like,
Hmm.
SciVive, what's SciVive? And he's like, I need to know more about SciVive. And
Yes.
so then I was telling him a little bit about it, but yeah, I don't think really Richard's put enough. I mean, he can't really give himself
I
uh
feel like he's putting it down before it's even getting started.
Yeah, he's barely put
Yeah.
any effort into it aside from writing the book from the audio transcripts that he had done and the
Right.
editing. And obviously with someone like yourself that did all of that too in a couple of days. And we need to talk about that too. You busted that out super quickly.
Well,
Like
it
that's
took
so cool.
forever at first. I was going really slow. I'm gonna talk and try to find my charger for my laptop because I was not prepared and it's gonna die.
Oh yeah.
So,
Sure. Yeah, sounds good. Sounds good. Yeah,
so
I'll definitely
yeah,
hold down
it
the
was.
fort.
I mean, I can still. I'll just mention like I started out and I did the first chapter. Like I did the intro real quick, and then the first chapter I was like, oh man, this is really long. Let me break this up into two different parts. Um, And then I had some family stuff happen. So I ended up moving, or not moving, but I stayed out in California for quite some time, trying to help my dad as he went through. Oops, sorry. Trying to help my dad. He went through COVID. So I was there just kind of helping him with all that and taking care of him and the family as that was going on. So I had kind of a hiatus, I guess. And then when I got back and started doing it again, I think that the reception was so great. Like people had started saying how much they loved it. And, I had people asking, hey, like when the next chapter and all this. And it really just took me, I guess, a little bit by surprise, because I really, and I've said this a few times, I didn't really know about Richard. And even through reading SciVive, this was my first time reading it as I was doing the audio narration. So I didn't realize, there was such a big following and that people had already, been wanting this content. So once I started like rolling again, I was just like, okay, let me just get this done. And then the fact of being someone I used to do journalism and I'm familiar with editing and I loved that. And I'm still very much the person, like, if you are writing a lot and it's not 2 words, ooh, like it gets under my skin, man. Like use the correct yours and theirs, please.
Oh, geez. I know what you mean. Yeah. Or like I
Yeah.
saw someone that's close to me that was saying like, they were saying like time to lose the weight in LOOSE, and it's like that's loose, not lose, damn it. But
Yep.
common sense ain't common, I guess.
Yes. So I knew that I wanted to edit it. As I was finishing the reading, I was like, you know what? I want to go back and edit this so that it's an actual, like, readable, physical thing that can be printed. I know people print it out as it is, right now, but wouldn't it be great if there was an actual physical copy that we could give to people or hand out, and then on top of that, being able to read it after that point again and doing the narration over. So, because people have been asking, can you get it on Spotify? Can we put it on Audible? And I don't feel like the quality is there for sure. I
Sure.
mean, there's like, especially chapter 7. I'm so sorry. The first like hour of chapter 7, I didn't realize I was recording out of my laptop mic, and so there's birds chirping and cars driving by. It's what
Sure.
I did what I could with what I had at the time, and it was my first ever endeavor in doing like a extensive audio voiceover kind of thing. So yeah, I want to make it shine. I want it to sparkle and like be ready for Audible and for Spotify. So that's a huge goal.
Well,
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, thank you for doing that, because once again, I think it was you that had said like, you're surprised that no one had really done anything
Done it yet.
before that, and
Yeah.
when it really is like what's called like the tragedy of the commons, right? Where anyone can do it, but no one's really being behooved or benefited to do such a thing, to put in the time and the effort that it takes to, make it what it should be.
Yep, absolutely. Yeah, and Richard talks about that quite a bit actually. And Fix the World has been really neat to dive into. It's very similar in terms of content, and it's his kind of like stream of thought type stuff. But
Yeah.
there's definitely some different topics. And yeah, it's neat. I can see how whoever edited SciVive first had just, I bless your heart, whoever you are, wherever you are, because again, I didn't see it before the edition that it is now, but looking at Fix the World, I can
Yeah.
imagine what it was like, because it's
Yeah.
been painstaking to go through Fix the World and try and like put everything in a correct order. I'm trying now to like make sure that there's chapters. So yeah.
Yeah, I've got that one actually printed out. The Fix the World, been working on chipping away at that, and it's cool too, because I was listening again to some of the parts of Richard with the ladies, obviously, that you were on too, and he talks about how his book is like better than he is as far as his ideals and things like that. So it's pretty cool. People that want to know more, he had mentioned, you're going to get less out of talking to me than you are like reading my book and my ideals.
Absolutely. And someone came at him about like him being shallow or something, and there was a bunch of the ladies replied like, no, 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 no. Like, you don't know our Richard, like he can, and that's, I told him too. I was like, I was turned off at first. Like, I didn't like the unboxing videos, and I like how he was like, yeah,
Oh
I don't
yeah,
know if I liked him either. But yeah, I mean, there's so much depth to him. And you
that's
can see
true.
that in these books. It's just phenomenal. This man. I saw a comment. I want to say hi to D Raj. Welcome in, friend. Namaste. It's Cody. Good to see you. What's up, G? Yo, yo, Lumi. Yo, Lumi. And Bit
Oh,
Finesse.
Jackie too. She was in the ladies stream too. So nice to see her.
Yes. Hello again, Jackie. There was a question that I saw. Someone I think it was basically like, what was my biggest takeaway from SciVive? I'll let you answer that first, because I know I've answered it a few times and I'll do it again, but I'd love to hear what's your biggest takeaway?
Well, it's funny that you kind of pointed it, because I was curious what you were thinking as far as that goes. I mean, honestly, I haven't finished the whole book, right? But
Oh,
the thing
okay.
that I'll say is, yeah, I haven't finished all of it. I mean, I've read definitely. The thing that's nice about it is, Richard mentioned it's not just like most books you read from, left to right and
Right,
page to
right.
page, but this one you can really skip down and things like that. But I don't know, the thing that I like about it is that it really is not like a manual or a guide, but like most people really do know what they need to improve and change in
Mm,
their lives to to become healthier or the bad habits that they have. That's why the gym rat challenge is cool, because it's kind of like a step in the right direction. Obviously, like you mentioned, something that's 90 days not long is not going to be like you're not going to make all your changes then, but it can
right.
be like a good start for those good habits. So I don't know. I mean, my biggest takeaway per se is just I like the time section where he talks about
Mm,
like I forget, like Pomodoro technique and some of these things that you can kind of
yes.
maximize your time. He had talked about like, hey, if you're on like a computer, you could have like a virtual machine running, or like a second kind of screen running that has all of your work, and then maybe the other screen kind of has the stuff that you're doing that's maybe more leisure, less working type of thing, and just certain habits that you can kind of get into of maximizing your time, or actually being productive versus non-productive. I mean, I don't know. I'd be curious to see what your response is too, because there's so much in it that sometimes it's kind of hard to answer those. Like, I hate those questions of like,
Mm-hmm.
what's your favorite
Yes.
color? Well, shit, I like all of
Yeah.
them: red, blue, green.
That's right.
So
They all serve a purpose.
true.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it is. It's tough because it's. I talk often about, one of the bigger takeaways for me is his call to action. That it's not just about the thinking positively or imagining or wishing. It's the taking that step towards what it is that you want. So that really, I think that got driven home. I'd heard concepts like that before, but listening to SciVive, like hearing him talk about it in that way, really just kind of struck me like, yes, that makes a lot of sense. Like it brings it out of the woo woo, if you will, and into
Yeah.
the like this is a solid thing that I want to follow. And then also my own branding, like reading about how he says that it's important to have your own brand and do your own thing. And so
Mm.
I switched from SJ Reed's SciVive to this a wild SJ thing, like it just
Oh yeah.
I don't
Yeah.
even know where it came. Like I know it's from Pokemon, but I'm not a Pokemon fan. Like I mean I am.
Yeah.
Pokemon are cute, but I
Sure.
never played. I never collected cards or
Me
anything like
neither.
that. Yeah, it just kind of came to me all of a sudden. I was like, 'cause I think because of the hat, because I wear that every
Mm.
now and
Hmm.
then, and like I feel like I'm a wild woman. I will admit that. Like I love just
Oh
being out
yeah.
in nature, and yeah. So I
Totally.
was like, yeah, this feels right for me. So it was nice to do that and to take the branding, as much as I love SciVive, I'm not the author and it's not the, quintessential what is me. So it's going to be something that I will focus on. I'm going to continue to work on it and read and do all of that, but I'm me and I have more to offer than just SciVive. So it was cool that that was something that I took away from working on that project. It's like, oh,
Mm.
I'm just going to be my own thing. Thanks, Richard.
Well, that's awesome, and that is really cool. I mean, yeah, you look at, I mean, obviously his last name's Schuler, but say Richard Hart
Right.
or someone like Gary Vaynerchuk, and people had asked me that question too, like, where did you come up with Balliet Brand? And it's like, it's just my name, Brandon
Yeah.
Balliet. But
Yeah.
you know, pretty simple. But it really is cool. I mean, he's and the cool thing is too is like a lot of people that kind of would fall under maybe I don't know, less informed than say Richard would do like these paid courses or like these gurus and things like this. But Richard's kind of putting it all out there for free and in the best information.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's cool for the people that
Free.
really have that drive and that want to learn more. I mean, I still go back to Richard's videos. Like I've seen all of his streams and I've seen all of them at least like one and a half, sometimes two, three times. But then even still, sometimes when I'm spending less time on social media and things, I'll go back to his older videos and just scoop up any of the breadcrumbs that maybe I had heard back then, but maybe weren't applicable back then and things like that. So he's got a whole bunch of just golden information to for people that are actionable that they can actually use.
Yes, 100%. I really like this idea, business card size things with bullet points. That'd be really hard because there's so much. It's 22 hours of audio, y'all. Like it's like a whole day of listening. I'm trying to think of what is something Dune. I don't know how long Dune is, but I listened to Dune and that took me forever. But
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
there's just so much in there. It'd be so hard to do bullet points. Let's see, what is this? Punch harder in the world, SciVive really helps increase effectiveness. Just getting me to think about the process of putting these things into practice has dwarfed the Hex Kings. It's too damn good, for sure. That's what really excites me is that I got into this whole world through Hex, but it's now become so much more. Like the community, the self-help. I mean, this crypto fitness challenge, like I was listening in last night to one of the spaces and Sequoia Stone and Bullish Ox were in
Mm,
there, and some guy asked to speak, and he was like, "Oh, hey, I'm just trying to check out what's going on in here," and he had been listening for a little bit, and he had heard about the fitness challenge, and he was not a hexkin, didn't hold any hex, and then Marco was in there, and he just like started telling him what's up. He's like, "Let me tell you about hex. Let me tell you, how this works," and then the guy was like, "Oh, I'm really interested in this fitness challenge too." So it's like we're now like able to onboard people through a fitness challenge that have never heard
yeah,
about Hex
yeah.
before. I mean,
Yep.
it's and the whole pre-viral thing, y'all, like I
Yeah,
can't wait. Like it's cool, Brand, like, getting to meet you and other people that I did at the Hexpo and seeing where
totally.
you're at with your life and seeing what Hex has done for you and knowing
Yeah.
that that's on its way, y'all. Like the Hex
Yeah,
is
yep,
not going
yep.
to stop. There's this not the
Mm.
code is just going to keep going. So it's exciting.
Well, and the beautiful thing is too that you mentioned is like everyone's got things that they can work on and that they can improve. No one's perfect. So yeah, having because I never really had a community. I mean, my parents are super religious, which I would consider is their community, right?
Yep.
And I grew up in that stuff and was just not a huge fan. But anyways, and then my brothers, they had football, which was their community. And even though I played, same thing, wasn't really my jam. I didn't really like it a whole bunch, getting concussions and stuff as kids. Like
Yeah.
that doesn't
No
really seem very
thanks.
productive for society. But anyway, so the point is that this became my community. And then, you mentioned a whole bunch of people with the permaculture and kind of the self
Yep.
sustainability. It's really cool that the information's there and the people that are there, and they can definitely help lift people up that are interested or that are expressing the want to do that. So the fact that someone came into the Twitter space and was not only informed on more of the health challenge that they were interested in the first place, but then same thing with crypto and something that could help their financial future is beautiful. And then
Yeah.
same thing with Richard when he was with all of you ladies, he had mentioned we have like an average of like the unique wallet addresses, we've got like 100,000, and so that is absolute opportunity. And some people, they see the price is done at 10,000x, even though it's consolidated, right?
Mhm.
80%, something like that. And there is just so much more to be had and so much more meat
Yep.
on the bone. So that's the exciting part.
Yes. Exciting. Speaking of meat on the bone, I just saw this like line in what I'm about to read, and I was like, oh, hey, that kind of goes. So I'm going to read 2 sections real quick. Oh, 3. I
Perfect.
lied. Yeah. So I'm gonna read for a little bit, and we can just
Awesome.
kind of talk. I'll probably stop as I'm going because that's kind of how we do. So this the section that I'm starting on. Again, this is chapter 2 of SciVive Body, and I'm gonna start with strength. It says it's funny how much 1 inch of muscle around a human body gets respect. It's because that 1 inch used to be the difference between winning and losing in conflict. We wouldn't give as much thought to one more inch. We wouldn't give as much thought to 1 inch more or less on an elephant. That's because it wouldn't make any difference. There's already so many inches. It's also funny how hard it is to put that inch there or cut fat out. 1 single inch. The amount of work that it takes to put an inch or two of muscle on your bicep or your neck is hundreds of hours over months. The ability of respect those couple inches get you with reasonable men is also pretty large. It's funny to think that only millimeters of difference lets you tell the difference between one human's face and another. An inch here or there and another person on another person's body will cause you to feel fear or lust so easily. That's interesting. It says, you see, we care so much about those few inches because for women, it might mean having enough calories to handle another life growing inside them. True. It might also mean not getting demolished physically if you piss off the wrong guy. We care about those inches, but these days with jujitsu, mace, and firearms, we haven't evolved the ability to detect and honor those force multipliers. At least not in the same way we have the obvious physical traits that have been around tens of thousands of years. Tools and tactics we have developed over time and spread throughout our populations makes us vastly more effective in all the things we choose to do, both good and evil. A tool is a force multiplier. As is the gear, the wheel, and so on. You used to get a little out of what you put in, now you get a lot more. Okay, I'm going to kind of, and then he says at the end here, being strong is better than being fast. Running analogy versus facing your problems and powerlifting. And I love that there's little points where it's like you can tell he was going to like expand upon an idea. You know,
Yep.
it's just like, I'm just going to put this note here. So there's some things that I'm just like, man, I wish I could, like, I want to just like give him a list and be like, you want to talk about this? Because it sounds like you want to talk about this more. Let's have you talk about this some
True.
more.
True.
And then at the end here it says there is a weakness in running from your problems instead of getting stronger and facing your problems. And I think that can definitely be applied to this fitness challenge, you know, because
Mm-hmm.
depending on where you are mentally, there's going to be people that, you know, aren't ready for that. Like they're not interested in taking the next step into their fitness, or, you know, maybe it scares them that they'll have to leave their comfort zone or their comfort level or whatever it is that, you know, they feel safe and secure in, you know, but that may be that safety and security might be killing you, you know, like if you're just eating bad and, you know, you've got
True.
these bad habits or drug addiction, anything like that, you know, like it's so much better to take that, to have that, you know, mindset, to be able to take that stance and be like, no, I'm not going to do this any longer. Like, I'm not going to continue to kill myself in this way. And, you know, I say it sounds drastic, but that's, you know, kind of his point about building that muscle. It's over many hours over many months, you know, and that was kind of the point with me showing the picture of myself from earlier, is it's not an overnight thing. And it's not just something that is going to be like, you know, this super drastic, super quick thing. It's a total like embodiment of these new ideals or like this new lifestyle.
Totally.
So I'm going to read the second section here. Did you want to comment on any of that before I go on?
Yeah. I mean, and once again, I think, I mean, I think a lot of the stuff is, you know, it's kind of obvious once you hear it, but then it's just the practice that, you know, one little step in the right direction today, or, you know, making the right decision and choice today can really strengthen that willpower. And that's really what a lot of it does come down to, is like what's his name, Hex Orca, or like Crypto
Mhm.
Curricula now, was saying
Yeah.
that he was at the grocery store the other day and he's like, it's like, man, you know, should I get the pizza? Should I not get the pizza? And then in that case, he didn't get the pizza. And then, that's like strengthening his willpower for what he says he wants, or what he's telling himself that he wants to do in the longer term. And it is, everyone's in different points in their life, or might have been in a certain point in their life then, and are at a certain point now. But it really is similar to kind of Hex, I would say. And this is why I'm excited to get back into it, because it really does complement each other, where it's like, the marshmallow experiment, where, hey, you have the opportunity to have that one right now, or whatever the time frame is for like the two, like whether it's like the day later or an hour later, that's practicing like an exercise of, not just caving into what you're craving, or what you kind of want, but maybe, telling yourself, hey, you can have this, but maybe after I've earned it.
Yep. Absolutely. That delay, it's so to me, it's so beautiful how the theme of delayed gratification runs through everything Richard does. Like, it's
Yeah.
really neat to see that. Let me see real quick. I'm just gonna double check chat real quick. I know when I get to reading, I get kind of like in the zone. Oh man. Let's see. I don't know if I said Joe Terry. Hello. John Bishop. Sweaty Hexagon. Toby One Hexobi. What is going on? I'll try and throw you a banhammer. Y'all. Watching while you're in the shower. What is going on? Too sexy. Mindset is important, Jackie. 100%. I heard it was either Jim Rat or Sam earlier talking about and it's interesting, Brent, because you kind of said the opposite, right? Like you were talking about how self-motivation can only get you so far, and then you need to, have those people around you. And
Yeah.
they were saying kind of the opposite. Like, it's good to have this motivation and people around you, but at the end of the day, it does come down to your self-motivate. Like if you want to do it or not, like no one else can make you do this thing.
That's true.
Yeah. Let's see. Haven't had the time to see Toby. Toby One says he wants to be in the challenge, but hasn't had time to see what it's about. It's already too late. I wish they would have done something. I mean, I get it because it is a 90-day, like you have to be doing the whole 90 days or whatever. So there was a cutoff. So you can no longer join the challenge, unfortunately. Franklin, good to see you. Glad you are here. Excellent, everyone. So if you just joined or don't know what's going on, we are all about SciVive, reading chapter 2, Body, and I'm going to read another little section, and this is called Conditioning. So over 2,000 years ago, Socrates said, "No man has the right to be an amateur in the matter of physical training. It is a shame for a man to grow old without seeing the beauty and strength of which his body is capable." Whew. All right, Socrates, damn. Whole body movements are more useful in the real world. And that, I'm going to make a point on that real quick. I think that's how I started losing weight, because I went from working at a desk job to working on a farm. So my whole body went from being sedentary every day to moving all the time. And I wasn't working out again. Like it wasn't
Sure.
like no weightlifting involved. I just happened to be walking around a farm, feeding chickens and planting food. And
That's
so
awesome.
I love that. I think he talks about a little bit more about that. He says, do big compound exercises at high weight and low repetitions. This way you're getting the most strength and muscle growth out of the least amount of time. And you can see how Richard, I feel like we think similarly in the workout world, because I don't want to spend my time doing it. I don't, so
Yeah.
his that setup that he's got with his bicycle and his computer and all that, like that's super smart, because then you
Hell
feel like
yeah.
you're doing something else productive while you're also doing something good for your body. Let's see. So yeah, best bang for your buck, if you will. Some would say you're getting the most strength, period. Some prefer to be learning or doing almost anything else than lifting weights for vanity. Such is the competitive life we live. But if you want a quality mate, you want to be doing some lifting. How else can they tell you're better than the rest if the rest looks sexier than you? If you're going to be sitting watching television or writing a book or lazily enjoying the internet, you might as well be pedaling your feet while you're doing it. After a while, it's natural and you feel like doing it. Best part, you can eat more of what you like and be more fit with limited cost. The downside is that you're going to sweat a bit, so you're going to need to shower a little bit more than normal. Some people build an exercise bike and gaming computer station combo. You can buy stand-up desks and add-ons that let you attach your laptop to a bicycle. Well, there was something I want to. The only part that I want to like call him out on, or like I kind
Sure.
of disagree with, right, is where he says the best part is you can eat more of what you like and be more fit. And I'm like, I get what he's saying, but also if you're eating more of what you like and what you like is pizza all day, then
Yeah.
that's not gonna help, you know? Like that feels a little counterintuitive to me. And and I also fast. I like doing the fasting stuff because again, it's easy for me. Like
Mm.
I drink tea all morning. I'm still
Mhm.
fasting right now, and it just makes it like I don't have to think about it. And I'm one of those people that like I think I'd be cool with trying Soylent, you know, just like a shake, like just drinking my like I don't get me wrong. I enjoy food. Like I said earlier, pulling that beet out of the ground and taking a bite out of something fresh. I love it. But I don't enjoy the time prep. I don't enjoy going to the store to shop for food. Like I don't enjoy trying to figure out what meal I'm going to make. And luckily I'm the kind of person that I can put together, you know, whatever I've got, I'll make a meal out of it. But it's just is like I don't want to. So
How long
I'm
do you fast
interested. I'd
for?
hope he. So well, I was just gonna say I
Okay.
would be interested to see if we could convince Richard, or if he'd be interested in trying that out. You know, like just drink
Mm.
tea or coffee in the morning, because it's so. I don't know. It just makes sense to me. So I do right
Mm.
now what I try to do every day is 18 on and 18 off, 6 on. So
Okay.
I'll usually like it's a little bit. I heard that for women, and I should probably look into this a little bit more, but it's better to have a little bit of a longer window. I hear a lot of people do a 4 hour or like even smaller than that, and that's just like with my day and how things go and like what I'm doing, I can't. So 6 hours is usually good for me. Like I'll break my fast, like I'll probably break it after this is over, and then
Sure.
I try to eat my last meal before 6. So like I don't know, like 5 or whatever. And
Mhm.
sometimes I don't do that. Like, and then there
Sure.
are nights where like I don't know, something will happen and I'm just like, sure, I'm gonna eat this popcorn right now. No big deal.
Yeah.
Um, but the reason that I really try to stick to it, and the reason that I feel very passionate about it, I guess in a way, is because it helps me to break a habit that I grew up with. My mom and my sister, and I
Yeah.
see my niece now, they all live together still, and I see them doing this. They eat when they're bored, they eat when
Mm.
they're stressed, they eat when they're anxious. They that's their go-to thing, is like, and I would say that that would be kind of like my most addicting personality kind of trait thing, right? Like
Totally.
I feel that urge to just
Mhm.
stuff my face with something because it's
Right.
there and because I don't know what else to do. So when
Mm.
I know that I'm fasting, that has helped. It has helped me more than anything maintain my weight, because
Right.
I've gone up and down, but doing the fasting really just helps me just like stay at an even keel. Like I'll notice like if I have not been fasting and I'm eating a little bit more and I'm allowing things that I wouldn't normally eat into my diet, you know, I'll see that few pounds come on and then I'll be like, okay, gotta chill out on that. And then I also like to throw in, for me, just walking, like just going
Yeah.
on a
Yeah.
walk. Because I mean, being in a van is not, there's not a lot of, you
Sure.
know, space to move around. And it's tough for me right now. Like the first 30 days of this challenge are going to be extremely challenging for me, because when working on the farm, I had a heat stroke, and
Oh, yeah.
that
Yeah.
has affected my life, and it sucks.
Totally.
Like I can't go outside if it's like over 75 degrees and like sit
Mm.
out in the shade. Actually
Sure.
went to Float Fest a couple days ago and tried to do that. I was like, I'm gonna be fine. It's only 80 out there, and I came home and had a heat headache for the rest of the night, and
Mm.
it drains me and it gives me a migraine and it breaks my heart because I love being outside.
Sure.
But basically until we're moving, I'm gonna move up north to Ohio for the summer for a gig that my boyfriend's doing, and it's
Nice.
much cooler up there. So I'm really
Yeah.
excited to really get like I'll probably just walk for my cardio.
Mhm.
I might try and do HIIT inside the van because I have an AC, but it's gonna be tough because the summers in Texas, y'all. Woo!
Jeez, I can
It's
only
hard.
imagine.
Yeah. So yeah, Pacific Northwest. Oh man, it's so beautiful up there.
Yeah, lots of green, and yeah, it's beautiful today. No, but I yeah, I want to piggyback on on what you're saying, where kind of like, yeah, if you are sedentary, and once again, sometimes it can be easier said than done and things like that, but kind of the implementation that Richard does have with that bike, the recumbent bike, and kind
Hmm.
of being able to do both things at once, two birds with one stone. But you're right, where when you are kind of more sedentary, or just anything that's kind of active that can, if you do like any little step in the right direction, it can make that next step, much easier. But it's much easier to like maybe indulge, or like you say, maybe be bored
Yeah.
and eat out of boredom, than say, hey, this is my regimen. And that's actually what my girlfriend does too, is the fasting. And I'm going to be getting into that as well too, because I've done it in the past and had actually a lot of success in the past with it. And
Nice.
then you're right, where when you fall off a regime, it can be easy to be like, oh, I'm bored, or oh, whatever lame excuse to stuff your face, and that's not good, because I'm not a religious guy at all, but they do say in like in certain texts of like, hey, your body is your temple and things. So
Hmm.
if you're not really treating it right, then you're kind of just doing yourself a disservice. So yeah, it'll be fun to get back into those healthy habits. I mean, Jackie says like, sure, the mental state is one thing, but also, the action and the removal of whether it's all at once or slowly but surely, the old habits and things like that.
Yep. Yeah. So I lost my train of thought. I was gonna say something. Oh, I forgot.
No worries, no worries. It,
I
it always
lost
comes
it.
back.
Yeah. Let's see. Hate to admit it, but I never read all of Sci-Fi. Sorry, I'm just kind of checking out the things. You are
Please
welcome,
do.
Toby Wan. I'm super glad that it's helpful for people. Like that really like I think has been the biggest reward for me is hearing that people who weren't able to read SciVive before, or like just weren't,
Yep.
like didn't want to hear that the other audiobook, like
Yeah.
that's great. Like if I can do anything to get this book out there some more, like it makes me super happy. But yes, this is
Changing
the comment you were
lives.
talking about. Yeah, changing and instituting new habits, super important. And hopefully, Jackie, that's something that, a lot of us that are doing this challenge, they say that it takes 21 days to
Hmm.
create a habit. So you've got at least, several chunks of 21 days over the next 90 days to try and do that and try and create these habits.
Mm,
That is really cool.
yeah. Yeah, and that's what I've done too, is like the 90 days, and broken it down within like, okay, the first 30 days or the first week, breaking it down to smaller bite size.
Yes. Yes. I'm just going through these real quick. Change the behavior first. Yeah, that's smart. Smart, smart. I forget that some people just listen to these streams. I got to be better at reading comments out loud. I want to try soylent green tea, Raj. Yeah, no, I hear you. It's yeah, it's the real one. Oh, that's creepy. D-Rush. Don't you know? Soylent Green is people. It's people. I've never seen that film.
Me
I just know that
neither.
it's referenced. Let's see. Yeah, yeah, and it's interesting hearing Richard. It was a couple streams ago that someone asked him about like life advice, and he was like, "Eat less, move more."
Yeah,
And you
yeah,
can
yeah.
tell that he's struggling with it, and that's something that
Mm,
he wants to do. It'd be cool if he had joined the challenge, but I don't think that's happening. But
mm,
yeah, maybe through this we can inspire him to continue to lift those weights and use that bike and not
mhm.
eat all the chocolate from Louis Vuitton. Because he was like, I'll just keep these over here. Um, this is a good point here. I love smoothies. That's actually how I break my fast. Um,
Mm,
I'll have tea and then something that I just switched. which I think is also helping me maintain my weight and maybe even lose a little bit, is that was at first I was using fruit to break my fast. So I'd have like a
Hmm.
apple or a plum, or I try to use low glycemic fruits, guava and
Oh
papaya,
yeah.
things like that. But I switched to broccoli, y'all. I used to
Hell yeah.
hate broccoli growing up. I hated it. I would not touch the stuff. And now it's just so wonderful. I have broccoli and hummus. And that's how I
Mm-hmm.
like the first thing that I eat. Is like, all right, I'm just gonna like put some greens in my body. It's gonna be great.
Is it just raw? Like, do you do any do
Yeah,
yeah, okay, just raw with some
just
hummus.
raw broccoli.
Yeah,
Yeah.
hell yeah,
It
hell yeah,
sounds
yeah,
so
yeah.
weird.
No,
But
not necessarily at all.
yeah.
I think it might just sound weird because most of us, yeah, I think the traditional society stuff might be weird compared to what you're doing. Seems more natural and more like, I guess, like back in the
Exactly.
olden days and stuff. So
Yep. Yes, 100%. And that's the crazy thing is like how I mean, I know how I've watched documentaries and read books on it, but just the fact that our society went from this like the victory garden movement, and like growing your own food, and we talked about that and we did that, and then all of a sudden microwave dinners, right? It's got to be easy
yeah,
for
yep.
mom. Got to like make it real quick. So I see that there's a leaning now towards the other way again. People are
Hmm.
interested again in growing their own food and eating healthily and whole
Yeah,
foods for sure. I gotta blow my nose, you guys.
yeah.
Hold
Sounds
on one
good.
second. I'll be right back.
Hey, take your time. Yeah, and Jackie saying, Wild SJ, you did a super job with SciVive. Your voice definitely makes it work. Thank you for doing this. And she had mentioned the other person that had done some of the transcription, which was like Ann Hex read SciVive, I think. But the cool thing with what SJ has done is a lot of it's, all of it's already done. And as she mentions too, for me, even though I have this printed out, like I'm not a huge reader, I just really am not. And most people can make excuses not to sit down and completely focus on something like that versus what I like to do, which is like when I'll be listening to the the audio book that you've done, it'll be like, in the gym or walking and things like that, where, you can really do two birds with one stone and kind of
Yep.
knock it out versus just sitting down and here's what I'm going to read.
Yep, exactly. Just like Richard says, and just like we just read in Sci-Fi, he really recommends doing that, and that just makes so much sense to me too. Especially like I said before, just the time, because that is our most precious commodity, is our time. So I want to be sure that I'm utilizing it and getting the most gains in the least amount of time as possible. Oh, this is cool too. Let me see. Where did I get to? I don't think I got to this part. So he says also, if you need to move around for fitness anyway, and I love this, if you need to move around for fitness anyway, you can try learning a skill while you're doing it. Fighting, dancing, a sport. While the gains you make in fitness can be eaten away by the passage of time and laziness, the skills gained stay for a lifetime. And I'm huge on dancing. That actually, for quite some time, was a workout for me. I'm very involved in the drum and bass community here in Austin and go to shows pretty frequently until a couple years ago when all that happened. And,
Yep, yep, yep.
like things are starting to
Totally.
pick up again, but it's still not like it was. I mean, I would go out to dance minimum one night a week. And this was not I'm
Wow.
not like
That's cool.
not only do I not drink, but when I go out
Hmm.
dancing, I drink water the whole time and I am dancing for hours. Like we'd get there I don't know, 10, like before 10, right? Because DJ's got to set up and then stay until 2. And I am dancing 85% of the time. And, that's what, well, numbers, like about 4 hours of dancing, right? That's cardio, y'all. And I don't just, I
Oh
mean,
yeah.
you see Richard Hart dancing, like that's the level I'm on. Like I do all the
Yeah. Yep.
moves. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's serious. And I miss that, honestly. Like I really
Mm.
miss like having that outlet and being able to go out to dance on that frequent basis. Like there's monthly shows starting to pop up and things like that. But yes, I absolutely love this part of SciVive where he's saying, do something that is going to benefit you in more than one way. You're gonna lose the weight and be more fit doing whatever you're doing, but you also get to gain this skill, and you keep that forever.
Yeah, I think you had mentioned that one time of like what was it like, because it's specifically in SciVive of like singing in a different language if you're trying to
Yep.
learn a different language at the same time, and I think you had mentioned that you had done that before.
Yeah, I moved to Puerto Rico and moved out there and started taking Spanish classes and was listening to a lot of Spanish language music, and yeah, it's fun. It was
No, I
fun. You
love
gotta,
it.
yeah, I gotta. That's it's one of those things. If you don't use it, you kind of lose it. So I
Yeah,
kind
that's
of want to
true.
get back into learning that, but yeah, time. What am I doing with my time? Oh, and there
Mm.
is I kind of want to put out a call to anyone who is if Spanish is your first language. um I guess this is going to take a little bit more time than I'm thinking. There is already SciVive is translated into Spanish. So if somebody wants to do that audio, that would be badass. That's a thing. But also if we want to wait and like edit it and then translate it into every language, there's also a French version I saw in the SciVive chat. Someone posted up a
Really?
French, yeah, French version of SciVive. So yeah, do not let your language, if you think you have a language barrier, don't let that stop you, because there are
Mm.
multiple languages of this book out already. And I'm sure that, should it be edited and published and all sparkly, that would go even further and get
Mm.
published in several different languages, I would hope.
Yeah.
Yeah, so the next section I'm going to read is called The Gym. My least favorite place. But let's see what Richard says in SciVive about the gym. He says, if you go to a gym rat who's huge, he might know how to work out well, or he might not. How big he is has nothing to do with what he knows. It has to do with how long he has been in the gym. And so the people who get the biggest are not always the smartest. And that is for sure true. I mean, I've
Yep.
seen
Yep.
people,
Yep.
because you got to think about it holistically, in my opinion, right? In my
Hmm.
non-gym rat opinion, there are people who will go there and only work out one part. I mean, you see these guys with like these huge arms and then they got noodle legs, like,
Chicken legs. Oh my god.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Or the other way around, like they have these big beefy legs and their arms are all flabby or what. It's usually the first way, but still,
Imbalance. Yeah.
yeah, there's an imbalance there. And um yeah, it's important to think about all of that holistically. Let's see. Did it the longest. Okay, so he says people who get the most results in the gym are the ones who have done it the longest. You are as fit as you have been recently working out consistently. As soon as you stop working out consistently, or for a period of time, whatever fitness you had disappears quickly. And isn't that so true?
Yep.
He says,
Yep.
this is why I like weight loss better than fitness, because when you lose weight, that burdening weight stays lost. When you lift weights and get stronger, maybe you get a little muscle memory. Maybe it comes back a little quicker. And I'd be willing to bet that Jim Rat and Sam would have something to say about about that right there
Oh,
for sure.
totally.
Yeah. And I wish they were here. Well, I actually am hoping to open this up to more of a panel, and have
Oh yeah.
multiple guests on, so we can have more discussion. And that's kind of what I was hoping the SciVive Twitter community would be.
Yeah.
Y'all,
Yeah.
if you're in that Twitter community, start to say. I mean, it's not my group. Like, I created it, but I made that so that we could have more discourse and more discussion around these principles that are in this book, and how it has affected people's lives. And it's kind of quiet in there. So if you haven't checked it out, I'm pretty sure there's a link in most of my videos, not this live one, but in most of the SciVive videos, there is a link to that Twitter group. And then also the Telegram is a little more involved. There are definitely people speaking on different topics. In fact, earlier today, I saw someone mentioning meditation. So there was like a little debate between whether or not meditation works and what it's good for. So yeah, definitely check both of those channels out if you guys haven't already, in terms of continuing your SciVive learning throughout the week.
Totally.
Yeah. So let's see. Is there any I don't know, is there anything that you necessarily want to like discuss, or any parts of this chapter you can think of that might be good to touch on? I'm putting you on the
Um,
spot right now. Let me look. Oh, here, actually, I lied. You think about that while I read this part because I just
please
strolled
do,
past
please
this and
do.
I was like, yes. Cause so continuing with dance, music and BPM is the little subheading of this. He says, if you know how to dance, you know that your moves stop and start at multiples of the beat. Thus, if you want to hit a certain speed on a cardio machine, it can help to have music that hits the same beat naturally that you are trying to hit. If you want to hit 80 RPM on the bike, 160 BPM would sync each extension of your leg with a tick of the rhythm. If you enjoy dance and exercise, I would have to imagine that the dance instinct would modify your exercise behavior by going faster for faster songs with reason. You can find pre made playlists to fit different paces and beats per minute, which is brilliant. Back in 2015, I ran for a little while. I had a partner at the time who was very adamant about running being the best thing in the world, and I don't really agree with that. I think it's nice to get out and stuff, but I do know that it's really hard on your joints.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So, but during that time, that really helped me move. Like that helped me stay consistent was with running was like having this playlist that I was just like, yeah, like it was like pump me up and like, like really I'd run to the beat, I would just like be like, yes,
Yeah,
this is
totally.
awesome. I'm doing it. So I like that suggestion that if you are
Mm,
working out, maybe you need a little push. Maybe I don't know. Like I feel like a lot of people do listen to music, but if you're having trouble, with getting motivated to work out, man, find you some Eye of the Tiger. Like
yeah,
get
yeah,
a playlist that when you hear that song, it hypes you up. And even if it's you haven't used it for working out in the past or anything, like if it's a song that brings positive, positive feelings to you, then hopefully what you would do then is like associate that positivity with working out,
yeah.
maybe.
Yeah. No, that's true. I mean, you mentioned some of the EDM and the dancing and things like that. And my dad and I did a whole bunch of like indoor cycling classes, maybe a couple of years back, but same thing where because each instructor was different, like on a different day of the week, but they would always listen to kind of higher beats per minute music versus say like a slower song. So that would kind of get you in the rhythm, and then to your point, your your feet are kind of naturally going with the rhythm of the beat. So that's really good
Yeah.
advice.
Yeah, I think the thing that I had thought about earlier that I forgot, it's this little like thought just came up again, and um what it might have been was I was thinking about my dad and how I talked about earlier going and helping and caretaking him, and
Mm-hmm.
what the biggest takeaway for me with that was I really saw how underlying conditions and how ignoring your health and not just thinking that like, oh, I'm fine, like everything's all right, it's gonna cause you to take longer to recover. You're gonna have probably like a lot worse symptoms with
Mm-hmm.
things because of these underlying conditions. Like I get that whole like underlying conditions thing now because my father had diabetes, high blood pressure, high cholesterol. He should have died for all intents and purposes. Like he should have
Yeah,
that disease should have taken him out because he is,
totally.
and he's in his 70s. Like he
Mm-hmm.
checks all the boxes on this should have probably killed you. And I love my dad. I'm so grateful that he is fine and healthy today. He does have some lingering symptoms from it, but he's off one of his blood pressure medications. Because of it, he lost, because he went through all that. He was in the hospital for a few weeks. He lost a bunch of weight. But
Mm.
with me, the biggest reason I was there was to encourage his lifestyle change. I was like, Dad, you cannot continue to put this crap in your body and think that you're going to be fine. Like that's
Yeah,
not how it works. So, I'm grateful that he was able to live through that and to see that and to make the change and to be able to move forward, with his life, and you know, and I'm hopeful to be able to retire and enjoy his last few years of life. I think Richard talked about Aubrey de Grey really got into a lot of longevity after his mother passed. And I'm sure a lot of us, especially like, I don't know, I feel like we're probably like a little different in age. I'm definitely older than you, but my parents are aging, and like it's hard to see that. It's really hard to watch. And
Yeah,
like my
yeah.
mom, she's not in shape. She's not doing well. Like she doesn't even, like, I try to encourage her to just go walk. Like, mom, please just
Mm.
go walk around your neighborhood, and it worries me because I'm just like, having had that experience I just had with my dad, I have four I have four sets of parents. I was adopted and have met all my family since. So there's my mom that raised me and my dad that raised me. They're divorced. And my dad is married, remarried. And then my birth mother and my birth father. And my birth father has his family, and then they were never married. So I got all these parents. And
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I'm the oldest,
Sure.
and in every case, and the responsibility is gonna fall on my shoulders as it did with my
Mm.
dad. And that's like a freaking eye-opening, like really intense thing to have to think about as we get
Right.
older and our parents get older, like who's going to take care of you? Because if you're not taking care of yourself right now, is that my responsibility to then come and take care
Right.
of you?
No, you're right.
So yeah,
Yeah,
it's
that's a
that's
realization for sure.
yeah, it's tough, because it's just like, you cared for me and loved me as a baby, you took care of me, and I am who I am now, thanks to all of that. But it's just like, man, like, you gotta know that your health is not just important to you. There's a
Yeah,
whole lot of
yeah.
people that love you, that want to see you healthy and want to see you be successful.
Mm. No, it's
So,
true. Yeah, like someone really close. I'm not gonna like, dox who it is, but yeah, one of my, family members started, smoking cigarettes again for the past 7 years. And it's like, do you want to see, some of these other advancements for your kids or whoever else, and some of these other things, like, come on, like, yeah, don't just do it for yourself, but do it for your loved ones too.
yeah.
But yeah, sometimes, sometimes that doesn't happen. And, sometimes, people make their own choices and things like that. So you're right. It's not a fun thing to think about.
No, no, it's not. And I know that it's something that's gonna be a continuing and growing issue within my life as my parents get older. So, if I can do anything to be an example, or, to like show some way to help them be healthy, that's I think also part of my own motivation for staying healthy, is to be like, hey, it's not that difficult. Like, like, I don't do much. Like I said, again, I don't go to the gym. I don't work out. I try to walk and do what I can. But that's changing, right? 90-day fitness challenge. I'm gonna be doing some push-ups and who knows, all sorts of things. So I just scrolled past and saw this little part here that I want to read, because this is interesting. I forgot about this. And I'm curious as to what it is. So this is, again, SciVive Chapter 2, Body. This little section is called the 40% Rule. It says the 40% rule is a concept used by Navy SEALs to increase mental toughness. The story was told by Jesse Itzler in his audiobook, Living with a SEAL, 31 Days Training with the Toughest Man on the Planet. Itzler wrote about his house guest. This is in quotes. He would say that when your mind is telling you you're done, you're really only 40% done. And he had a motto: if it doesn't suck, we don't do it. And that was his way of focusing of forcing us to get uncomfortable, to figure out what our baseline was and what our comfort level was, and just turning it upside down. And then this is Richard now. He says, one way of thinking about the 40% rule is to train till failure. When you reach that point of exhaustion during a run or pushing weights, when you would usually stop, keep running for one more minute or complete another rep with your weight training. You'll be surprised to see how much further you can push yourself. And I think I'm glad I came across this, because that's a super great point for this challenge, because that's what we're doing, right? We're challenging ourselves.
Mhm.
And I like that. That's kind of like the what's the word I'm looking for? It's like the use of a trainer, right? Like I've
Mm-hmm.
had I like once way back in the day I did like one session with a personal trainer, and that was the biggest takeaway, was that when I
Right.
felt like I couldn't do it anymore, they were like, "No, one more. Go for it. Do it." Um and I did, and I was able to. So that is applying that 40% rule. When you're done, you're only 40% done. That's intense.
Mm. That's a
Um
good point. I had the similar experience with one of the football trainers in high school, sophomore year of high school, and he was like a CrossFit coach and things like this.
mhm.
But same thing when we had initially done the weight room before, it was way less intense than this. This was more of like a CrossFit and things like that. And so similar to what you mentioned too, where your body can really be pushed to limits and levels that you never thought before, because maybe you were just putting that plateau on yourself or that limit on yourself versus actually, yeah, doing it until failure.
Yeah. I'm going to bring up this comment real quick from Toby Wan. So he says, helping my dad, I recently learned Alzheimer's does not have a genetic link, but it does have a correlation to fitness and diet. So it's not just about your body, but also about saving your mind. 100%. Yes. And I believe that's true for probably more diseases than we realize. Um, I think that, I mean, it's connected, right? Like our body and mind are all within this little flesh shell that we're walking around in. And yeah, it's important that, because I feel like you almost can't have one without the other, like if you're not mentally sound and like able to focus on your physical body, then it's going to make it a lot more difficult for you to get to that point. Yeah, definitely good point there, Toby Wan. um
Yeah,
let me see.
that's like motivating for him that he's mentioning, right? Like, hey, once he's learned that, okay, hey, maybe I can make some changes here, so I'm not in that position that that people might be in, that he doesn't want to be in when he's their age.
Yep, absolutely. So I'm gonna keep going with this little part because this is great. This is all really good for this us starting this fitness challenge together. Um, here's the point of exhaustion. Okay, be sure to do this safely. Super important. Yes, yes, super safe. Especially if you all are doing weightlifting, things like that. Make sure you have a spotter if you're at a gym. I know that much from from my ex who was a gym rat. Like it's important to make sure that you're being safe. Don't drop your
Mm.
weights. Don't be that guy.
Yeah, no one
Sorry,
like that guy.
not related. He says injuring yourself is counterproductive. Um, this gets your lungs to understand they need to be larger, because if you never reach their limits, why would they get bigger? It's the equivalent of having a freer flowing air system in your car's engine. Free peak horsepower. Everything after you've warmed up seems easier, and it seems to let you hold a higher heart rate for longer, which means you burn more calories. Honor the tough workouts. The less you want to do it, the better. What if you can't hit the same numbers you're used to hitting? That's great. You're pushing the limit. So just back off the weight a bit or a whole lot. Unless you're injured, you should still try to keep up the habits. Even if you have to go in and pretend to do the lift, whatever it takes to maintain the habit. The habit is worth 100 times what the lift is worth. Maintain your good habits. Ah, I like that a lot. That's really, very, I think, relevant to what we're taking on. And I think that is, again, the point that I hope is stressed the most, not just people's physical change, but the habit forming changes. Like I have
Mm-hmm.
no doubt that this is going to be life changing for some people. Having this group, like a lot of people I've heard here and there, people talking about how they haven't really had a community. I think you even kind of mentioned that, right? Because like your
Yeah. Oh
parents and
yeah.
then,
Totally.
your
Yep. Yep.
brothers and stuff,
Yep.
right? Like
Yep.
this is our community. This is our family. And, we're here to support one another and lift each other up. And for the most part, we try, but just as Hex financially has been life-changing for people. I strongly believe that working together as a team in a way, and encouraging one another through this challenge is also going to be life-changing for a lot of people. And I'm excited to see that. I think that I commend Jim Rat and Sam for doing this
Yeah, me
challenge,
too.
and for bringing people on board. And I like that they changed it. I didn't realize they had changed it until I think yesterday, but it was first, I think it was the Hex Fitness, and now it's Crypto Fitness. Because there's people that, like I said, from last night, just being in that space, there's some guy that had never heard of Hex before and is now doing this Crypto Fitness challenge. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, that's one of like the super super early on suggestions that Funding Gym had kind of given me, or just people in the community of, I mean, you're already broadcasting to your community, so let's try and get some people outside of that. Or myself and Toby, we're going to be streaming at 2 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, and so we're kind of changing up the title a little bit to where it's not just the same damn thing every single time. And when you mention Jim Rat Crypto and Sam Stolt, the cool thing about what they're doing is once again, that's their expertise, right? That's something that they're really good at. And so it's something that they can provide value in. So I really like that.
Yep, absolutely. And I had to ask a question because whatever, like, it's on Twitter, it's public knowledge anyways. So I'd spoken about running back in the day, and I feel like back then, in fact, the picture, they had a thread of like, show your best picture or whatever, like you at your best kind of
Oh
thing. And the
yeah,
one that
for
I had
sure. Oh yeah,
posted
totally.
was from around, it was from like maybe the year after I had lost a ton of weight from running. And like, I'm very like, in those years, I was just like stick figure, like, like, and I like, even though I was thin, I didn't necessarily feel good about my body. Like, I wasn't like, like, I may have, in some people's opinions, looked the best then. Like, I feel like that kind of like, I don't know. Basically, what I'm trying to get to is, it's great to have these experts because I'm trying to be fit and not like lose all of the body weight that I like having where it is. Like, there's
Right,
certain
right,
areas on a
right.
women where you want to keep some body weight, right? So
Totally.
it's been nice to just like get little tips and tricks on how to be toned. And like, this is I took my pictures this morning, but like, this right here and like my thighs are my two like points where I really want to like just tone that up, like, I don't know, like, I've never been the kind of person to like look in the mirror a lot, or be really concerned about the way I look. I think I think at one point I had that same partner who he was more concerned about the way I looked than I did, so that was a whole, and I've talked about this a little bit before, but that was a very
Sure.
unhealthy
Yeah.
point in my life, in terms of like, I
Right.
lost weight and I might have looked like great, but it was not good. Like, that was not a
Yeah.
good like space for
Like
me.
mentally and stuff like that.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I'm hopeful that, again, that this is something that we're able to really just encourage one another to be. And I like it that it's fitness, right? Because it's not weight loss. Like, no, not everybody's
Right.
going to need
Right.
to
Right.
lose
Right.
weight. And especially, there were a couple guys in the chat last night, they were talking about they need to gain weight, and I know
Totally.
I have a couple really good friends with that same issue. They cannot, like, especially like these dudes, because they're just like active all the time and doing stuff, and like, I don't know how they burn calories, like, but they do it
Yeah.
all
Yeah.
day long, and they cannot put weight on, so it's very
Yeah.
difficult for
I've
them
got
to
friends like
lose
that
the
too.
weight. Yeah. And you're just like, oh, but like, like, some people get mad at that, but at the same time, like, someone very close to me has had a terrible body image most of his
Mm,
life because of it.
sure.
He's just like, I've been called skinny and scrawny, and like, no one likes that, you know?
Right. Right. Right.
So yes, I like this crypto curricula. Really good to hear that, and that's what I'm hoping too. Like, we were talking about maybe Richard, same kind of thing. Like, if you're not involved in the challenge itself, but this challenge can motivate you in any way, shape, or
Mm,
form to continue to be fit, like, more winning all day long. I think that's
yep.
such a win.
Yeah. Yeah, that was
For
the
sure.
same thing for myself, where yesterday I reached out to one of the family members and I was like, "Hey, so and so, today is the last day tonight at at this time, do you want to join?" And they're like, "No." but I'll observe from like the sideline and we'll kind of play it by ear type of deal.
Yep.
And yeah, sometimes it takes seeing kind of some of the results or just the idea of the fitness, like you said, because yeah, for me it's the losing the weight that I had gained, the excess weight, and getting the muscle back and things like that. But then you mentioned where like everyone's in a different spot, so that's also important to understand that it's not like a blanket rule for every single person.
Yeah. Yep. Absolutely. So, yeah, that kind of wraps up in terms of me reading today. I'm going to kind of leave it there. I'm going to go through some of the chat and then we'll probably kind of wrap it up within the next 10 minutes here. But yeah, so let's talk. Let's see what everyone's talking about. And I totally agree with this. That's such a cool thing within our community because as hex stakers, we are, you're putting your finances out there, so it's like almost like you kind of have to have that mentality that you want to be around for the next
Betting on yourself.
good chunk of time. Absolutely.
Well, speaking of which, I mean, that's from Jackie. I think she said she was 75 from the ladies hex stream, and she's got Quattro Cinco. So that's awesome,
Yep.
and it really goes to show you that she had said the same thing too of the healthier habits and things like that. So that's really cool that when it is a consistent habit and a healthy habit, you can just maintain that versus some of the other previous ones.
Mm-hmm. Yes, indeed. Let's see. I thought there were more comments, but there's not. Anybody have any questions, comments? Anything strike you as interesting? I love D Raj's peanut gallery comments talking about. Well, it's not really peanut gallery, but yeah, the Bollywood. I actually I've seen a Bollywood film. I think it's called Bride and Prejudice. Not Pride and Prejudice, but Bride and Prejudice is really good.
Gotta love it.
And do the screwing the light bulb move. It's very Bollywood dance. Am I doing it right, D-Raj? Am I doing it right?
Speaking of which, I saw him and Super Hex win in person the other day. Like they were at least, they had taken a photo. Yeah, I was like, oh, that's awesome. That's super cool.
Yeah. I can't wait to meet D-Raj. We're star-crossed lovers. There was like I think one of the first times I ever heard him talk because he loves SciVive and I love D-Raj that you do quotes and stuff like that. If you have the capacity and if you are or not are not in the Twitter SciVive community, I'd love to have you in there putting some more of those quotes in and talking a bit more about it. And that's kind of for anyone who's SciVive minded or interested. Let's have more conversation, let's like talk more about how it is that we can be SciVivalists and be people who are going to live to see our 15-year and then some stakes as they keep, because I mean as those stakes come out, people are continuing to stake for 15 years. So it's going to be a continual rolling cycle of fitness and badassery.
Yeah, when it was designed to initially, they couldn't do it because of the some of the constraints on Ethereum and the maximum gas limits and things like this. But it was designed initially to go up to like 50 years.
Wow.
Yeah, and so they had to do Quattro Cinco because of some of those limitations. But even still, I mean, you look at something like that, and it's like, man, Bitcoin hasn't even been around for that long. So it's awesome to see this community doing things differently and focusing on those things, because you're right, you really are betting on yourself when you're doing a Quattro Cinco or someone else that can take over.
Mm-hmm. Yes, absolutely. And this is a great reminder from Crypto Curricula. Drink your water today. That's an interesting topic too. I don't know how really it happened. Maybe it was just in part leaving my parents' home and moving away to college. But I somehow on my own made the switch from juice and soda and milk to water. Like I can't think of like when or how that change happened. Like it definitely wasn't like a totally conscious thing, but that has been, I think, also monumental in the way that I'm able to maintain my weight, is because I know that those things are empty calories. Juice,
Yeah.
soda, lots of milk, like
Yeah.
y'all look. So this has been the biggest thing for me. Reading the ingredients. Know what
Mm.
you're putting in your body and look at how much sugar is especially added sugar, right? Like
Yeah.
natural sugars, that's all right, it's good. You're going to get that in things, but you go to the store, and I saw this on the do and do not eat list. But if you look for dried fruit, look for ones that have less sugar or like not added sugar in them, because that can really like spike up your sugar intake. Um, energy drinks and things like that. It's just
Yeah.
all of that is going to contribute. And those are the things that a lot of people don't think about. They think, oh, it's
Mm.
fruit, I'm being healthy, or oh, it's
Yeah.
juice,
Yeah.
it's healthier than
Yeah.
soda. Y'all, there are some
Mm.
juices out there that are going to have more sugar than sodas.
Right.
So it's, to me, I think that's one of the big things that I'd like to,
Mm.
remind the community and just remind people as they're going through this fitness challenge, is to really look at the label and
Yeah.
read what that's. And calories is not a thing that I've ever really like looked at or worried about. It's more just like the sugar that's in it, the saturated
Mhm.
fat that's in it, and then what it's actually made up of. I know I have a friend
Mm.
who, she had cancer as a young kid, and
Sure.
so she has been very health minded all her life, and so she won't drink anything that has natural flavors in it.
Yeah.
And then there's also like yellow number 5 and red number,
Oh
like all of
yeah.
those
Yep. Yep.
yellow, like
Mhm.
those color number combos, like that
Yeah.
stuff's
Yeah.
not really good for you,
Mm.
and it's, of
Mhm.
course, everything in moderation. And if you're gonna eat something that's got, something in it, like every once in a while, it's probably not gonna kill you. But over time, in
It
in these
will.
little quantities, it's probably gonna affect you in some way, shape, or
Mm.
form.
Well, I wanted to comment on just something real quick that you did mention, because you mentioned like the sodas and the milks and stuff like that, or soda and milk, right? But also with some of these energy drinks or some of these like different, I don't know, I guess just drinks, you have, to your point, the advertisement of sugar free or 0 calorie and things like this. But then when you look at some of the sweeteners like the sucralose or the aspartame, some of these things, some of those things have been correlated directly to cancer or to some of
Yep.
these other conditions that aren't healthy for you. And it's like anything else, where it's not going to, like you mentioned, not going to kill you the first time that you do that.
Right.
But if that is part of your regimen and you think that, like, oh, I'm just drinking my 0 calorie energy drink or whatever, then you might think that you're doing something that's healthy, that's actually detrimental. And so that's important to look at too. You mentioned the labels, so that's a really
Yeah.
good advice.
Cool. Thanks. It's helped me for sure, and it's been cool actually seeing my stepson kind of pick up on that. Like he'll be
Hell
over at
yeah.
his mom's house, and like he'll be like, this has too much of this or that in it. And I'm like,
That's good.
working my hippie magic on this kid. It's great.
Yeah, those good habits are rubbing off on him. That's awesome.
Yeah, yeah, and I think that's an important thing to learn when you're young. That you can also be in charge of your health and what you're putting into your body. There's one little comment right here. John J UK says it's really easy to cook meals from scratch. Tonight I'm cooking garlic ginger chili chicken stir fry. Portion
Hell
rest up for
yeah.
the next few days. That's been tough for me too. Doing meal planning and prepping. I think that it's great. I think that it's super helpful. And for someone who doesn't, like I mentioned earlier, I don't enjoy spending time cooking. Doing meal prep, when I do it, is great and helpful. In fact, I'm actually gonna hit up Monica MoFit Meals about
Yeah, hell yeah.
food
She's
stuff.
great.
Yeah, I've heard from several people in the community that she's got some great advice and information. So, and I would hope, or maybe this is something I can suggest, that maybe she be a little bit more of a part of that challenge too, in some way, in terms of the food part of it. There is in the app that we're using for this fitness challenge, there is a list of like do and do not eat kind of foods. And you mentioned those different sweeteners, they're on that list. There's only 2 sweeteners that that are approved, and I can't think of what they are right now, so I don't want to missay it.
Sure.
But yeah, is definitely something that we need to be mindful of, because it's not just what you're doing to your body, it's what you're putting in your body that's going to make a difference. But yeah, we're gonna kind of wrap it up right there.
Totally.
Yeah, lots of good points today. I'm hopeful that this stream is helpful and encouraging to anyone who is or even is not doing the challenge. If you are just in a challenge in your life,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
if you're doing your own challenge, as this is going on, like more power to you. And please, like, feel free to reach out. If I don't know an answer about something, I am very happy to like be able to try and connect dots. Like that's something that I enjoy doing as well, is like making connections and be like, hey, like I don't know, but this person does.
Totally.
And it seems like there's no lack of that here in the community of people who are willing to answer and give you more information.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much, Bran, for being here.
Yeah.
I feel like this stream is a long time coming, especially considering like SciVive. I know that that's been a big thing that you've been talking about for, I'm sure as long as you've been in crypto and or at least knowing about Richard. So
No, it's
it's
true.
been
And
great.
yeah, and once again, like you mentioned, it's cool that, everyone, not everyone, but that the two people in the community that would probably be best to spearhead something like this, Sam and Jim Rat Crypto, are taking that initiative and wanting to help out in any way that they can, because a lot of people do just need a little bit of motivation or
Mm-hmm.
advice or different things that they can do, maybe because like with myself and one of my friends, we're both abstaining from alcohol the whole time, and things
Nice.
like that, where it's
I will
much
join
easier
you
to.
with that.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
awesome,
don't drink
awesome.
often anyways, but like, to do it for a chunk of time, I'm about it.
Yeah. Yeah. So just little short wins. So yeah, speaking of which, you're gonna go downstairs and do some cardio, and one
Yeah.
day at a time.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And that's the mindset that we need to keep in mind, is it is one day at a time, y'all. None of this is going to happen overnight, and we're going to do it together. So thank you again so much for joining us. Thank you again, Bran, for coming on this stream. Looking forward to more conversations, and keep sci-viving, everyone. Y'all have a great rest of your day.